Get 5 coffins ready.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I couldn't think of a good background, so this is going to be the background of the video. Sorry. So, basically, what I'm going to talk about here is what gods do we think need reworks. I asked this question on Discord, on Twitter, and on my YouTube as well. So we're going to be going over the viewer suggestions, and then I have a bunch of my own suggestions. So yeah, let's go ahead and get going. We're going to go with YouTube stuff first. This one's from, oh, is that an A or an O? Akash 2013. So make Freya a melee ability focused warrior, Valkyrie Queen, instead of the mess she is in SMITE 1. Now that is a baseline. I actually agree. I mean, Freya's just been such a nightmare to try and balance. I mean, she's in, she's out, she's in, she's out. When she's in, she's absolutely ridiculous. When she's out of the meta, she's completely a pointless character. So yeah, hate that flip-floppy nature. So let's get to what Akash says about what he wants for Freya. Magic and Might, the more non-ultimate abilities she has on cooldown, the more protection she gains. That's pretty interesting. So that could lead to like using all your abilities and chasing someone down with auto attacks. Then ability 1, an AoE ability for AD clear. Interesting. That restores mana per enemy hit. Okay, less per minions. That's cool. Yeah, mana restoration hasn't really been a thing in Smite, so that's nice. A heal to give her allies or herself. That's fair. Freya should probably be a healer if she's a warrior. Healing and reduces cooldown by 2 seconds. Wow, sounds like Guan Yu. Ability 3, a leap that knocks enemies up, engage, or escape. Okay, yeah, like a Nike 3. I guess that's kind of fair. It's not really like her whoop though. So far this isn't like Freya at all, but I guess that's kind of the point. I would like to see the whoop in the ultimate return. It just like reworked the 1 and the 2. Ultimate Valkyrie's Blessing grants her a shield that scales with HP, along with increased mana regen and cooldown reduction to herself and nearby enemies within 50 units for 10 seconds max. Wow. Yeah, it does kind of sound like Nike, he says at the bottom. Honestly, I think the more I think about her kit, the more I realize Nike is probably what Freya should have been, but I like the idea of her being a support warrior similar to Horus. Yeah, I do like the general idea. I like the general idea a lot more of Freya being just a warrior instead. Like she could function pretty similarly, but like just rework her first and second ability, like what I said earlier. So let's move on to Kim C. For me, it would be Mercury. For someone so fast, he's too easy to hit, and he's ridiculously squishy, causing him to be a feeder. Yeah and no. I think Mercury is almost perfect the way he is. I do think his 1 is something that got changed a little bit too much. Like basically now it can only crit like sometimes. I would prefer it maybe being changed into a different ability entirely, or maybe let it proc item effects again. Just make it sort of a more interesting ability, because as he is fun, he is explosive, he is risky, and I think those are all good things for an assassin to be, but his 1 is just kind of lame. I would like his 1 to maybe be something completely different. Hopefully not any more CC, though. I don't think Mercury needs any more CC. I like the flaws that Mercury has. He's a flawed character. You can't pick him every single game. You pick him too early, you're going to get countered. All that good stuff. I think that's all good things. Good design choices for the character. And Tide Slayer Jr. 9386. God, I can't read. I'd make it Mir's basic attacks always one hit every opponent regardless of protections and HP. Me too. I think that would be pretty balanced. Also, his freeze should have triple the range and a 1 second cooldown. Honestly, fair. On a serious note, yeah, I liked the Ymir rework for the most part. I just don't like how his wall pops people. I don't know, like I like the fact that he can bop himself, right? I don't like how like he can bop enemies. Like if you get a good Ymir wall, that should be kind of just curtains. I don't like the fact that it knocks up too. It's weird. So Russell7790 with the SpongeBob profile picture. I love it. It says, I'd rework Loki by removing him from the game. Yeah. Outside of my YouTube, there wasn't too much, but from Discord, from Carolina, says, Surtur ult and make him, like, scorch the ground somehow. He kind of already does that with his minions, though, doesn't he? Like, he already, like, there's the extra little damage when the minions dropping down. I don't know about that one. And then Silamain says, hashtag bring back old Persephone. That's fair. Her passive can go. Her passive needed to be reworked. But everything else about old Persephone, I like it more. So, yeah, I think just old Persephone should come back. with her current passive would be fine, I guess. It's a boring passive, but just anything other than like being like one-shotting a mage, then having that mage who you just one-shot still control the entire team fight. Well, I was rewatching season 6 Worlds, I believe it was, and one thought I had is have Persephone rooted in place. The same as her, like, she revives back, does half damage, but she's rooted in place, so, you know, she can still ult, but she can't leap away, she can't just, like, juke around doing all the plants. Like, she has a very limited range now. Maybe not make it so she can ult, but that would maybe be a little lame. Or maybe change the properties on her ultimate as well when she does it from her passive. Little things like that, but just start with having her not be able to move. I think that's a good place to start. So let's go on to my recommendations. So I'm going to go fast because I had a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm going to go pretty quick, but if something requires an explanation, I will explain it. So for example, like, give Thor back his spin. He has a spin. Well, actually, he used to have a different spin where he just span in a circle for, I think, 2 seconds. It damaged like four or five times. I forget how long it was. It was a pretty long spin. It had some issues because, for one, when it went off on you, it did way too much damage, but it was also really easy to counter. So in like a counter matchup, you could just shut down from Thor from spinning. It was also a little bit too easy to avoid knockups because you had 3 seconds of knockup immunity, so you could just throw out your 3 when you thought a knockup was coming. You didn't have to time it like you do with current Thor 3, so it was a little brain dead on both ends, right? Brain dead to use and brain dead to counter, so that's why they changed it a little bit, and they also wanted to give the extra damage to the ultimate. I don't care though. Old Thor 3, watching old gameplay of Thor, it looks so much more fun. It was a more fun ability to use overall. I mean, they can maybe like reduce the damage on the, you know, the little arc damage on his ultimate. They can maybe just reduce it and just, you know, still keep what they had, right? But give him his old spin back. I thought it was way more fun than the current spin. The current spin still looks stupid too. Looks like Thor is just like, it doesn't even look like they're human movements. Well, to be fair, like the original spin wasn't really human movements either, was it? But you know what I mean. Anyways, so I think we also need to rework to Lance's mount mechanics. Everything about it is just so weird, and it's just like when Lance is in the meta, you have to pick around being able to get Lance off his horse, or else you will never ever kill him, and he's gonna one-shot your entire team. So I don't really like how Lance mount works at the moment. For me, it should just have a complete rework. Like how restrictive it is going from side to side. The fact that he can't stop himself while he's on the horse, he can only slow himself down. You know, only being able to be stunned off of it, not being able to be like crippled off of it or something. There's a lot of little things that just make it really weird to play around, to the point that it's just like sometimes it feels like there's nothing you can do, and then sometimes while you're playing Lance, there's nothing you can do because you're against like a Thor and a Surtur and stuff like that. But then like you get against a Knox and you can just walk right through her combo. So yeah, there's just too many moving parts, thanks to the fact that it is very strong in certain situations and very bad in other ones, and I don't really like that. And it's not skillful either. Like, you just press 3 as a Lance, and then you can't be rooted, you can't be slowed, all this other stuff, and then like you're against a Thor and you just can't mount because Thor will just stun you off the horse. It's just kind of silly. So yeah, I think that his mount needs to be reworked. But also give Xing Chen a new ultimate, or just make it not suck. His current ultimate, I mean, it pales in comparison to Ares and Cerberus. And yeah, Jingle is just too slow. It's too stubby. Maybe if they just increase the range and decrease the pre-fire time, it would work. But at the same time, I'm also thinking like, hey, maybe we don't have to have it be the same exact ultimate. I say either make it a whole lot better and then try and balance it from there, or just completely rework it into a different ultimate. Okay, so for me, I think we should give Knox a different sort of game plan, because right now, she's just super cheesy. All you do is you get in a party of 5, you pick Knox, and you play around the Knox, and you just get the Knox as fed as possible, so it's impossible to not be one-shot by her every single second, and you just cream everyone who stands in your Knox combo, and if you play Knox in solo queue, you're going to do absolutely nothing and just die over and over again. So I don't like Knox as she currently is. I don't like Knox when she's a support. I don't like getting one-shot by a Knox either. So what I was thinking is maybe replacing her current 2 with her old 3. So what her old 3 did was it would just be a damage on the ground after like a 1 second wind up. So imagine like a smaller Agni Bomb, basically. Like there's an area on the ground, then 1 second later, boop, it does damage. And there was also a cool mechanic where you could inflict shadow on people. Was it shadow? It should inflict darkness on people, something like that. And it would do bonus damage if you did that. So what I was thinking, like you could keep the kit the same, replace the 2 with the old 3. What you could do is have something where you 2 and then you 1. So you 2 to get the 2 ready on the ground, and you 1 to inflict the darkness on them, and then boop, it does a lot of damage. Cool, right? And you're not super silenced either, so you're not too far locked down or anything like that. It's a little more of a skillful combo. It's like a more skillful Agni ult into his 1. Little something like that. Just something not as brain dead as just putting this big silence on the ground that silences everything instantly. Never liked that ability. Never ever liked that ability. And just make her more, I think that would also make her a little more engaging to play, having this constant spammy ability, because you don't need to use your 1, right? It does less damage if you don't combo it with another ability, because her other abilities used to put darkness on you, which made this ability do more damage. But yeah, you don't necessarily need to do that, so you could just keep on throwing out this damage as well, which is cool. It makes her a little more engaging to play, not just like, okay, I need to get my Knox combo or I'm a useless player, basically. So which is what happens when I play her. So anyways, let's move on to Kuzenbo. I think Kuzenbo should probably have a different first ability, something not so ranged and just like free to use. It's just a pain in the ass kind of ability, you know what I mean? And it doesn't really, it kind of works with like the reduced cooldown on his with his 2. If you don't know how Kuzenbo works, every time you hit him while his 2 is active, it reduces the cooldown on his 3rd and 1st ability. So like, yeah, you get the slow up and the damage again. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't really feel like it gels with the rest of the kit, because the rest of the kit is get in people's faces, force them to try and not hit you so that you don't over combo them over and over again. And then you can use your ultimate to give yourself some free time to get your abilities back up, or maybe like force them into hitting you or something. And obviously it's an ultimate, so like forces out beads and all that other good stuff. So yeah, I just think like his first ability should be something less annoying to deal with. I enjoy the ricochets. It's always fun to do the ricochets on like buff camps and ricochet under towers for a cheap kill and stuff like that. Like, it's funny, but I think it's worn out its welcome to me, and I'm just kind of tired of the ability. I don't like this one of the tankiest guardians in the game having such a ranged, relatively high damage to slowing ability. It's just kind of a pain in the ass to deal with, and it doesn't really gel with the kit, even though the Kappa is funny. I think they should do something with the Kappa, but make it like gel more with him. Maybe something like which ability is it? Maokai E. Basically, you could spawn a little plant as Maokai, and you could do it quickly, or just like leave it in a bush or something, and basically it pops and sprouts out a little sapling guy who runs at you, and that could just be the Kappa instead. I don't know. Seems cool to me. Vulcan, I would say remove the move speed on his passive, because when a Vulcan gets fed, it's just such a pain in the ass to try and catch him, because he's knocking you up, he's backfiring over and over and over again. But to sort of get around this a little bit and give him some mobility, I think you should be able to charge up your backfire. In a fully wound up backfire, it hits the entire wave while keeping you safe, it's wider, and it pushes you further back and reduces the cooldown of the ability. I think that's badass. I think that's way more cool than just having this pain in the ass, fast moving, dumbass character. To be fair, it's mostly because Doomor's been good for a while, so you just kind of go Doomor on him, and you have the Doomor move speed as well as the passive on you, as well as the Gem of Focus as well. So all those things working together kind of makes the passive move speed more of a pain in the ass than it normally would be. So they don't necessarily need to remove that, but I think this little rework to Vulcan's backfire is super cool. Just having you be able to wind it up and make it go further and stuff like that. And I think maybe they could, I don't really know how that would work with his turret. Maybe like you can upgrade your turret as it, or like your turret gets stronger as it is on the ground or something, or you can just sit there like upgrading it while it's on the ground, something like that. Like upgrading your backfire by letting it charge up, or upgrading your turret while it's on the ground. Little things like that, because like his ultimate does that too, right? It does more damage as it goes. So I think they can make the character a little more interesting while making him basically the same. Just no more move speed on a mage, please. But yeah, there's not a lot of move speed in Smite 2, so maybe they can keep the move speed on the passive. But that rework to his 1 I just said, I think that's kind of fire. So I also think allowing Naja Sash to go through walls is something that should just happen by now. The character's not been too great lately, So I think just let the guy go through walls. It's fine. It's not that big a deal. And I think his ultimate needs to be way more forgiving than it is right now. There's so many weird mechanics about that ultimate. Like you should have the ability. You should not have to like time your thing to get the crit. You should have the ability to choose whether you pop back or you stay in someone's face after the ultimate. You should have that choice. There shouldn't be like 5 different points of interaction where like if you catch someone with the ultimate they can still beads for some reason. Like there's all these little things that like on Heimdall, yeah, you should be able to beads out of Heimdall, but this is that's Naja's only form of movement there. So yeah, I think it's kind of important that he's allowed to get that ability off on you if he manages to hit you with it, because it's a lot less forgiving than Heimdall. It's a lot thinner. It's a lot faster. So yeah, I think it needs to be more forgiving. And then as well, maybe like it's hard to say. Like the ring bounce is good clear, but I think maybe they could make his hit chain just like 3 hits. Just have it be like the first 2 hits are what it is now, but then have the cleave hit, right? So he has some better clear as well, and not make it so slow and so weird. It's such a weird basic attack chain. I don't even know why it's in the game. So I do think there should be other options than a CC cleanse to deal with time dilation. So that's talking about Oleron and Oleron ultimate and Bake Kujira ultimate, and basically yeah, that slows everything about the character down, right? So never really like those forms of CC because all you can do is do a CC cleanse, like have purification beads, have hell light stance to you, stuff like that, have Geb shield you. That's the only thing you can do to get out of the time dilation. Never like that mechanic at all. Never, ever, ever. Hate that. There should be something you can do to stop the time dilation. You should maybe sprint out of it. Like if something has slow immunity, you can get out of it. And then maybe you can give like Oleron and Bakakujira some CC immunity on their ultimates to compensate. I think that's only fair, but I think it should also feel more fair when you get hit with the time dilation that, hey, maybe there's something I can do. I don't know, just my 2 cents. And I think maybe we could just remove Freya. I think we're all on board there. One thing that I've thought they should do to Guan Yu for a while now is reduce the 3's damage slightly, but like half the duration. So like have it do 2/3 of its current damage, but like half the duration. So it could still clear waves and stuff, but you're not just a sitting duck while you're using it, trying to have this whole ability go off. And also let it reduce cooldowns, and this is especially thanks to cooldown rate. Right now, Guan Yu, he likes to get to like 40% CDR, even like often with a Sekhmet Scepter. So he like in like a Sphinx's Bauble too. So he really has like mega short cooldowns. But the thing is, in Smite 2 with cooldown rate, the more cooldown reduction, it's called cooldown rate, the more of that you stack, the less effective the cooldown reduction becomes. So I think Guan's going to suffer because of that. So I think allowing his 3 to reduce, because like since there's going to be less ticks, right now there's 9 ticks, so say they make it like 5 ticks, so he could reduce his cooldowns by like, you could say 1 second total if you get the entire thing off of it, if it's like a 0.2 seconds per hit, right? I mean, I don't know, that sounds fairly, it sounds fairly fair. And then you can maybe like bump up his cooldowns by like 1 second each, to try and make that a little more fair. But yeah, I think it's pretty easy to make Guan a lot better, but he's also going to be worse in Smite 2 because of the lack of mana regen, as well as the cooldown rate mechanic, being different than straight up cooldown reduction. But also we need to make sure we can hear Ra's ultimate. It needs to be like Overwatch style, where everyone can hear the Ra ultimate's about to go off, fellas. Because it's supposed to be like that, but most skins, you couldn't hear Ra ultimate for some reason. I don't know why. Just something about the sound design. So get on that. Ra's a cool character though. He can stay pretty much exactly how he is. And I think making Shiva's ult duration lower and maybe even add more steps to the dance. Because right now there's 4 different points of interaction, which is called steps. So I think what if it was like 6 steps, but like 2/3 of the duration? That would feel a lot more tactile and interesting to play around. And also on the opposing team is also a little harder to react to. Like there's also things like you have to make snap decisions like, oh, he's about to use damage, let me heal. Oh, he's about to heal himself. Okay, so I gotta kill the person he's about to heal now. And it's just like a little snappier rather than just, oh, he's about to use the heal. okay, I killed his teammate before he could even use the heal. It wasn't even like his decision really. But yeah, I think just making the duration lower. I know like being able to be CC immune for so long is nice, but yeah, I think just lowering the duration and adding more steps to the dance would just make it more fun. I do think reducing Houyi's ricochet multiplier is a good idea, because if you don't know all the ricochets, you can very easily just like get stuck under tower and just get one shot over and over again. It's kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. There are ways, like obviously you learn it as you play the matchup, but it kind of depends on how good Houyi is going to be, right? Because if you don't play against Houyi every game, you're kind of going to forget where those ricochet spots are, especially if you're not like a pro player playing the game nonstop, you know, like me. Yeah, just Ricochet is just so cheesy and kind of a pain in the ass, but I think it should also be way less finicky. I think you should be able to pull off way cooler trick shots. Like I'm saying, maybe even increase the number of ricochets possible, just like reduce the multiplier, and just like have it not... Like, I guess the walls in Smite aren't actually walls, because like you run Houyi Ricochet along a wall, and it changes direction like 57 times when you move it 1 inch. So like not only are the ricochets really good when they hit, but there's also very few ricochets. So when someone's playing against you as Houyi and they know the ricochets, they're just not gonna stand in the line of fire of the ricochet. So yeah, that's also a pain in the ass to deal with on the Houyi end of things. So yeah, I think Ricochet could be a way cooler ability, but just reduce the damage so it's not like unfair to play against sometimes if you don't know what the Houyi Ricochets are. So my last thing, we should make it so Giannis, depending on the distance of the portal changes how long it takes to come out. I think that's a pretty easy way to help balance the character and make him feel like less of a pain in the ass to deal with. Because like if you know the best portal locations, it's very possible you could just never die as Giannis if you're not portaling aggressively. So never really like that. I think like the portal spawn, that like, you know, the wind up to having the portal be available. Obviously this would be changed visually so everyone knows when the portal's available. I think it's a pretty easy way to balance them. Just make it take longer to spawn the portal the further the portal goes. I think that's fair. But Giannis is not, though, and he should be removed from the game. Okay, that was the video. It was way longer than I wanted it to be, again, but you know how we do out here. So that's my ideas for reworks for Gods in Smite 2. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you for watching. And who would you change in Smite? Who would you rework? Okay, bye.